Howdy, and welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books I've been reading and enjoying lately. Doing another TBR, or to be read video, because last month I found that it really did help me kind of focus in and keep on track, especially with all of the random other things that happened unexpectedly in my life last month, which I'll get into in my wrap-up video. It was really nice to have that TBR and keep myself a little bit grounded. So I'm going to do another one for August. I didn't finish everything on my July TBR, but not everything is necessarily just moving over. I'm excited about some other books that have come out, and let me tell you about what I plan to read for August. First, I plan on finishing Armor. I have started it in July, but it's a little bit heavy and there's kind of a lot of death in it. So I've been reading it in smaller pieces, but the story is intriguing me and I do plan on finishing it in August, and it'll be one of my higher priority books. Another high priority book for August is book 3 of the Shattered Alliance trilogy, Southern Sun, Northern Star. This is part of a trilogy that I love, and in the past few months, have listened to books 1 and 2 in audiobook, but unfortunately the publishers never made this one for audiobook. However, the author is doing a reread in the month of August from the 1st through the 13th or the 15th. She has just put up an outline of what chapters to read on what dates. I've never done a read along before, but I've been wanting to reread this one and I'm excited to do it along with her, and I think she's posting insights and just things about the writing process and the story and things that she cut on her Instagram page as we do the read along. So I'm really excited for that. I'm gonna try to stick with her schedule, and even if I get behind, still finish this in August. Next, I have a book that came out last month, but because I forgot to mention it in my TBR, I refrained from reading it. I was being serious about trying to stick to that TBR. And it is Eclipse the Moon by Jessie Mihalik, which is the sequel to Hunt the Stars, a sci-fi romance about a group of bounty hunters who have to work with people who were formerly their enemies. So this is the sequel. I think it's a duology. It's on my Kindle, ready to go, and I'm ready to read it. Next are a couple newer releases, and when I was thinking about the other books to put on this list, I did tend to go for slightly shorter ones that has to do with what's been going on in my life, and it's been a little bit harder for me to sit down and really focus. So I thought it might help me if I pick up some shorter reads for the time being. The first is a short novel. It might even be a novella, I'm not sure. It's called Nettle and Bone by Kingfisher, and from what I understand, it's about a girl who is trying to save her sister from the cruel prince that she's married to. However, they have to do it in such a way that they don't threaten the alliance and the whole reason that her sister was married to this person in the first place. I hear that it is evocatively written and has really great sense of humor in it and really compelling characters, and that the writing is lush. That novel I think came out in June, so it's a relatively new release. Another one on my list that just came out in July is The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, a smart, sinister fable about social inequality and exploitation. They say it's lush and eerie and gets under your skin, which kind of makes me think about The Hacienda that I read last month. This is about Carlotta, a young woman growing up on a remote and luxuriant estate, safe from the strife on the Yucatan Peninsula, the only daughter of a researcher who is either a genius or a madman. Montgomery Lawton, a melancholic overseer with a tragic past and a propensity for alcohol, who assists Dr. Moreau with his experiments. And then there are the hybrids, the fruits of the doctor's labor, destined to blindly obey their creator and remain in the shadows. All of them live in perfectly balanced and static world, which is jolted by the abrupt arrival of Eduardo Lizalde, the charming and careless son of Dr. Moreau's patron, who will unwittingly begin a dangerous chain reaction. So, to be honest, I haven't read the H.G. Wells, and I think after I read this, I'm going to. Next, another short one, we have His Majesty's Dragon, Temeraire Book 1 by Naomi Novik. This has been described to me as like the Neapolitan Wars with dragons, or one of the blurbs on the back says it's like Jane Austen playing Dungeons and Dragons with Aragon's Christopher Paolini. One thing that appealed to me is they are re-releasing a new edition of these books with beautiful artwork. I mean, I love that dragon. And then when you see all of the books lined up in a row, it's just gorgeous. So I told myself that I can't buy the future novels in the series until I'm actually there to read them. Otherwise, I would just buy all of them because I think they're pretty, which is a little bit ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. So, but also this one's short, and so I'm hopeful that I'll be able to read it this month. Another one, I'm not sure if I'll get to it, but I've been really thinking about the Winnowing Flame trilogy again. The Winnowing Flame trilogy, book 2, The Bitter Twins. I read Ninth Reign last year and thought it was very refreshing, original, and I really loved the characters. And just the other night, I started thinking about some of the characters again, and some of the interactions, and some of the plot points, and it made me really want to go ahead and pick up book 2, which I already got myself from the book depository. Book 1 follows several different characters, an archaeologist, and a Boran, which is sort of like a cross between an elf and a vampire-like character, so they're very, very long-lived, and they do now rely on human blood to stay alive, because back in the day when their society was powerful, there was this magic tree that was basically like a god. They drank its sap, and that was what sustained and fulfilled them. But that tree became ill and died, and in the years and years since then, they have turned towards feeding off of humans. However, this caused the Aborans to get something called the flux and started killing them all off. So there's not very many left. Their society has collapsed, and now humans hate them because these race has fed off of them. So it's a really interesting dynamic. You have this archaeologist who teams up with an Aboran bodyguard to study these ruins of this alien, ancient other civilization that periodically attacks humanity. And the Aborans are so long-lived that they were the ones who knew how to fight this race off. But now that the Aborans are basically gone, the fear is that the Ninth Reign will come, another attack will come, and humanity won't be able to fight them off. Another main character is this witch. It's a really interesting, it's like life force witch. These witches are incarcerated because everyone's afraid of their power, but they're able to take life force from a living thing and channel it into fire, a weapon, self-defense, stuff like that. She is on the run because she broke out of the place where these witches are kept and kind of falls in with the archaeologist and the Aboran. And they are working to discover more about this alien, ancient civilization that is, they know the attack is impending because people are starting to have kind of prophetic nightmares about it. It was a really, really good book, and it ended in a very interesting place, so I'm excited to continue the story with the Bitter Twins. Okay, then I have some other random stories that may not be able to fit, so let me just tell you some other novels that are in my general sphere for if I can get to them this month, I would love to read them. We have Royal Assassin, which is Farseer Book 2, which means, yes, I finished Assassin's Apprentice, and I'll talk about it in my wrap-up. We have Flames of Mira, which is an e-arc that I received from NetGalley, and now that the novel is out, I really need to finish reading this e-arc and get my review in. This story, it's kind of a story, from what I understand of it, it's kind of a story of revenge set in this really interesting world where it's like the city is built kind of into the side of a volcano, and I don't know too much about it, and I don't want to just say things that are wrong, so when I finish it, I will give a more thorough summary and review in my wrap-up. There is also People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, which was her first adult rom-com that she published, and it's the one of her novels that I haven't read yet. Since I loved beach reads and book lovers so much, I want to read People We Meet on Vacation, but I may do it an audiobook. I also need to finish Thinking Fast and Slow, that nonfiction that I started last month, which is written by Nobel Prize winning psychologists about the way that humans think and how we can recognize when we're just doing irrational snap judgments versus actual rational trains of thought. And then the last novel on my list is not my normal type of read. However, I do enjoy these types of movies, and it is Chain of Command by Tom Clancy. The only other Tom Clancy-like novel I have read before is Hunt for Red October. But my dad sent me this to read, and he assures me, oh, my dogs are coming in. He assures me that it's standalone and I can read it and understand it without having read all of the rest of the series, because Dad has read the entire Expanse series and also A Memory Called Empire, because I asked him to. We were talking about what book could we read together next, and this one showed up at my house. So we're going to read Tom Clancy, Chain of Command. And like I said, I do really like spy thriller movies, so I'm thinking that I'll probably enjoy this one too. And those are some of the books that I'm hoping to read in the month of August. Will I get to all of them? No, I definitely will not. If I do, I will be extremely surprised. But yeah, I've enjoyed making a TBR and kind of keeping myself grounded and focused, because there are clearly so many books out there that I want to read. Sometimes it gets a little bit overwhelming, and I am still trying to focus on books that I own, either in a physical form or an ebook form. Every book on the list, except for People We Meet on Vacation, is a book that I have purchased. So if I can read a bunch of these, it'll be a great way to get through some of my physical TBR as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like and subscribe if you haven't. As always, don't forget to support your local library. Thanks.